Hey there, RosterWatch Nation. It's your friendly neighborhood Trashman, and this is the Garbage Grab. Today I'm going to be talking about my must-own running backs, rookie running backs, that is, for fantasy purposes right now. Last time I talked to you about wide receivers. This time it's the running backs. Probably won't be quite as controversial, but I think it'll be worthwhile nonetheless. Let's get started. First off with Clyde EdwardsSlay of the Chiefs. He steps into the most dynamic offense in the league as a potential three-down pass-catching back. He's not the fastest guy. He ran a 4.6 40, but he wins with his explosiveness. He's got really great contact balance, and he's really shifty for his size. Offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy is really enthusiastic about him. One of the knocks against Clyde EdwardsSlay coming in was that he wasn't the most experienced pass blocker, but Bieniemy isn't concerned with that. He says he has the potential to be a really good pass blocker, so I'll take his word for it. Damian Williams, his competition for touches in the backfield, or his main competition, has never gotten more than 141 touches in a season, and he's played for 6 seasons in the NFL. And he's only played 16 games in half of those seasons. So in 3 out of 6 seasons, he has not played an entire complement of games. So I think that bodes pretty well for Clyde EdwardsSlay on the whole. I like him a lot to be productive in his first season as a Chief. Speaking about being productive, the 2020 Roster Watch Ultimate Draft Cheat Sheet is available now at RosterWatch.com. The revolutionary cheat sheet that changed fantasy football forever is back only at RosterWatch.com. The RosterWatch Draft Cheat Sheet, all you have to do is follow 3 simple rules. That's it, 3 rules. It couldn't be easier. And an expert quality fantasy football draft is guaranteed, folks. The RosterWatch Ultimate Draft Cheat Sheet only at RosterWatch.com. Moving on, I have Jonathan Taylor of the Colts. 96th percentile spark athlete with 4.39 speed, so he can bulldoze you or he can run past you. Since 2017, Taylor's 3,921 yards after contact are the most in college football by a lot, by 941 yards. You know, I wouldn't say I was in an argument, but someone was commenting in YouTube earlier about how Jonathan Taylor seemed like he's, a jag in a Wisconsin offense that kind of churns out guys who are productive in college but don't pan out in the NFL. And the thing is, when you consider Taylor's yards after contact, I don't feel like that's a system thing. That's a player thing. And when he starts for Indianapolis, I guess I'm presuming that he will start, but I think he has a good chance to. He'll be playing behind arguably the best offensive line in the NFL. So you couple that with the fact that he is superb, elite at picking up yards after contact, and that bodes for a pretty good combination. He's a better in between the tackles runner than Marlon Mack. And he's a capable pass catcher who has improved every year in college. And his receptions, I think, at almost 30 in his final season at Wisconsin. Anyways, I really like Taylor, and I think you should too. After Taylor, I have DeAndre Swift of the Lions. 77 missed tackles in 2018. 20% of Swift's carries as a senior went over 10 yards. So he's a big play guy. That was the best mark in his class. Kerryon Johnson, his main competition for touches, has only played 8 and 10 games in his only 2 seasons in the NFL. That's not very good. Swift averaged 7.8 yards per carry behind both Nick Chubb and Sony Michel as a freshman, so he's used to stiff competition in the backfield and producing really well in spite of it. So I really like DeAndre Swift in his first year as a Lion. I think it's going to be a pretty explosive offense. I'm not going to lie. I think we might see career high out of Matt Stafford here and Kenny Golladay. After DeAndre Swift, I have Keyshawn Vaughn of the Buccaneers. He averaged 5.2 yards per carry in 2019. Not bad at all. He led the SEC in rushing yards after contact, 4.4 yards for the last 2 seasons. He had 28 receptions as a senior, so he's a capable pass catcher. And I think that bodes well for him in Tom Brady's short passing game. I think he's going to bring that with him to Tampa. As for Ronald Jones' main competition, he isn't trusted in pass protection, and that's going to be really important in protecting someone like Tom Brady. And that's the main reason why Jones never overtook Peyton Barber, and I don't feel like he's going to overtake Keyshawn Vaughn. After Keyshawn Vaughn, last and not least, is Cam Akers of the Rams. Yes, there was an argument for J.K. Dobbins of the Ravens, but I ultimately went with Cam Akers. Akers went over 1,000 yards twice in 3 years behind a less than average Florida State offensive line in college. He caught 74 missed tackles last season. That was 9th most in college football behind that line. 3.9 yards of his 4.9 yards per carry average came after contact. So this guy is a beast. And this is important because Los Angeles has a really suspect offensive line and needs someone who will fight for yards, and Akers is that guy. We're talking about his competition. It's Malcolm Brown. It's Darrell Henderson. And you have to remember that Malcolm Brown actually played ahead of Darrell Henderson in the one game that Todd Gurley missed last year. He had 67% of the snaps in that game. And in my opinion, Akers is basically a better version of Brown. So I don't see Henderson taking a lot of Akers touches. I see Henderson is still being productive. He's one of the most efficient college players at the running back position that we've seen in a long time. So I think he'll get his. But I feel like Cam Akers is going to be the first 2 down back and goal line guy for the Rams. And I like him for that reason. And it's why I like him more than Dobbins as far as first-year production in the NFL. Anyways, these are my top 5 must-own rookie running backs in fantasy right now. If anything changes, I'll tell you. And until next time, on behalf of RosterWatch.com, this is the Trashman. Give us a follow. Leave us a comment. Give us a subscription, membership, whatever you can do to support Roster Watch Nation and become a part of our family. Anyways, that's it for me. Until next time, be ready.